Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a very popular Jamaican dessert, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to make coconut Gizzadas today. Basically, it's a flaky crust that's filled with a sweet coconut filling, and it's served as an open-faced pastry. Not only do they look great, but they are so delicious as well. Now before I get into the recipe, I wanted to let you know, obviously I'm not Jamaican, so this is not a totally authentic Jamaican recipe, but based off of the ones that I've gotten from the bakeries, the taste that I've gotten, as well as the little research that I did about what Gizzadas really are, I put this dish together for you guys today. So if you are a fan of Gizzadas, or even if you're not and you're enticed by how they look, go ahead and give it a try because I know you guys are going to love this recipe. I want to give a big shout out to Bidesi Imports for providing me with all of the flavoring agents that I needed to put together my Gizzadas today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. So there are two parts to these coconut Gizzadas. Of course, the first part is the dough or the flaky pastry that's going to be encasing the sweet coconut filling in the middle. So for that, I have my all-purpose pastry dough here, and I already showed you guys how to do this on my channel, so if you want to see the video for how I made my all-purpose pastry, go ahead and check the link right up here, and it'll direct you guys to that video. This dough is perfect for almost any type of pastry that you're going to make. I use it in pine tarts, I use it for patties, I made quiches with it, so it's definitely a dough that you can use for a sweet or a savory dish. So it's very versatile, it's a great dough, and it's very forgiving. So, as I said before, I'll have it linked right up here. Make sure you guys watch that video and make the dough before you go to make your coconut Gizzadas. And I've had this chilling in my fridge for a little bit now because I made this about an hour or two earlier prior to making this video. So, you want to keep it in the fridge so this way that butter and shortening doesn't melt. So this way it can stay nice and flaky in the oven. So as for my filling, I have some freshly grated coconut. Now this is the star of the show here. So you want to make sure to get some nice freshly grated coconut because you want that real coconut flavor to come through. I have a video that I did early on in my channel where I showed you guys how to open the coconuts and dig out the meat and grate it. So you guys go ahead and check out that video. I'll have it linked right up here and it'll be in the description box down below. So I have some of that. I have some butter. I have some salt, and whenever you're making a sweet dessert, you want to go ahead and add a pinch of salt just to bring out all of the flavors. I have some brown sugar here. Now, when you're making these coconut Gizzadas, you want to make sure to either use the Demerara brown sugar, or you could use any other type of dark brown sugar, because the filling is usually a nice dark brown color, and that's where the color comes from. So granulated sugar really would not work for this dessert. I also have some ground ginger. You could use fresh if you want. I prefer the ground ginger over the fresh, because I feel like the fresh ginger is a little too pungent for desserts. So I also have some nutmeg, and I'm going to freshly grate that nutmeg. And I have some mixed essence. You could go ahead and use vanilla essence for this if you do not have the mixed essence. So the first step when making these coconut Gizzadas is to prepare your dough. As I said in the beginning of the video, I have the dough recipe on my channel already. It was linked in the beginning of the video and it'll be in the description box down below. So make sure you check that out and make your dough before you go to start making your coconut Gizzadas. Because you want to go ahead and make your dough, have it chilling in the fridge, and then while you're making your filling, the dough will already be ready. So once you get the dough done, it's time to work on the filling. So what I've done is I've heated up some butter in my pan here, and I'm going in with all of my shredded coconut. And I have a little tip about the coconut. Go ahead and buy a few coconuts, grate them out, and then have them sitting in your freezer ready for when you want to make desserts. It's always great to have fresh coconut on hand because you never know when you'll want that nice sweet coconut dessert. So once you have it in the freezer, it's easy because you don't have to sit there and grate any more coconuts. So that's what I usually do. I usually buy a few coconuts, grate them out, and have them sitting in my freezer for me. They stay really well in a Ziploc bag. So all I'm going to do for this step is on a medium heat is I'm going to parch or roast this coconut in the pan just until the coconut gets a little bit golden brown. You want to go ahead and start building some flavors in this dish. The coconut flavor really is going to be amplified by this parching step. Now I notice when a lot of people make Guyanese desserts or any other desserts containing coconut, they'll usually just mix the coconut with everything and forget this parching step. But I promise you guys, do not forget to do this parching step because it adds such a great flavor to the dish. So this is going to take about 5 to 8 minutes. So I'm going to come back and show you guys what it looks like when it's ready to come off of the heat. My coconut has been parching for exactly 6 minutes now, and as you guys can see, it's taken on a nice golden brown color. So at this point, I'm going to go in with all of my sugar. I'm going to go in with my vanilla or my mixed essence, some of my ginger powder, and if you wanted to, you could use the fresh like I said before. And I'm going to go in with a little pinch of salt just to bring out all of the sweet flavors. I'm also going in with my freshly grated nutmeg at this time. The nutmeg and the ground ginger or the fresh ginger are honestly as per your preference. Some people like it really pungent, some people don't like to put a lot. So I'm just going to add in as per my taste. And of course, all of these measurements and the ingredients that I'm using will be in the description box down below. Once you add in all of your flavorings, what you're going to want to do is turn off your heat and then just begin to stir everything. Because you do not want that sugar to burn at the bottom of the pan, that's why we turn off the heat. And once you stir it in, the sugar will melt a little bit from that residual heat in the pan. And I'm telling you guys, the flavor is ridiculous right now. The smell coming off of this is so amazing. It smells so nice and sweet. So at this point, you really don't want all of the sugar to melt away too much, because remember, it will melt in the oven as it bakes. So you don't want it to be too liquidy, or else it'll be a little hard to handle when you're stuffing it into those shells. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it a taste just to make sure it has enough sugar, enough spice for me. And then I'm going to go ahead and take it off of the heat so we can start stuffing the Gizzadas and putting them in the oven. Once your coconut filling is done and you put it to the side to cool, it's time to roll out the dough so we can prepare the Gizzadas. So I have my dough here. I just sprinkled on a little bit of dry flour. You don't want to use too much dry flour to dry out this pastry. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start rolling the pastry dough out. And as you're rolling, you might see that the sides crack. All you want to do is just go ahead and pinch the sides back together. So this way you can try to get some smooth edges on it. And then you just keep on rolling. And if it starts to stick a little, then you can go ahead and add a little more dry flour. And you can roll this out to the thickness that you like. I know that some Gizzadas are pretty thick with the dough. I guess that just comes with personal preference. And some Gizzadas that I've had before are much more thin with the pastry. So you can do it depending on your own preference. I don't like a really, really thick pastry, but I don't like it really, really paper thin either. So I'm going to roll it to about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch thick. I think this is good for me. This is not too thin, nor is it too thick at all. So once you get your dough all rolled out, it's time to cut it into circles. Now you can make these circles as big or as small as you want. Some people like cocktail-sized Gizzadas, but I'm going to make a pretty good size, a medium-sized Gizzada. So I have my ramekin, and I'm going to use the top of it just to cut out some circles. And while you're working on your dough, I wanted to mention that you're going to have your oven preheating to 350 degrees. So this way, once you get these bad boys filled, you can just stick them right in the oven. And of course, any extra dough, you're just going to roll it up in on itself, and then you can roll it back out again, so this way you can make more circles. So once you get your dough all rolled out and you cut out your circles, what you're going to want to do is form the Gizzadas into its traditional shape. So you want to take your thumb and your second finger, as well as your index finger from your other hand, and what you're going to do is just put your thumb and your index finger right here on the dough. You want to lift it up just a bit, and once you do that, you're going to press your other finger in it, and you're going to pinch. And you're going to keep pinching like this all the way around. So this way you can get a nice little star shape. Now I'm a little slow at this. I'm not an expert, but I'm going to try my best. And it's all about practice in the kitchen, guys. So do a few. They might not come out perfect, but I promise you the taste will be there. Once you've gotten the dough into the traditional Gizzada shape, what you're going to do is pick up your dough and you're going to go ahead and put it on your baking tray. Now you're going to do this with all of your pieces of dough first before you fill them, because I think it's just easier just to have all of your pieces of dough already formed. So this way, once you fill them, they can go right into the oven. So I've got a batch of my Gizzada doughs formed already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my coconut mixture, and it's cooled down just slightly. You don't want it to be totally cold. You want it to be a little warm. And I'm going to go in with about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the filling. It depends on how much filling you like in your Gizzadas. So what you want to do is just press that filling down, press it around till it gets to the edges, and then they're ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to continue filling the rest of them, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick them in the oven at 350 degrees, and I'm going to leave them in there for about 15 to 20 minutes, or just until the pastry is nice and golden brown, and the coconut has dried just a little bit on the top. I just pulled all of my Gizzadas out of the oven and they took exactly 15 minutes to bake. I don't know if you guys can see that nice golden brown ring around the coconut, but that's exactly what you want. And the edges of the Gizzadas, these little star shapes that we made, they're nice and golden brown as well. And when you go ahead and you pick one up, it has that beautiful golden brown color. So I let these cool on my pan for about a minute after I took it out of the oven. The thing is, if you were to remove it right off the pan when it comes out of the oven, they might be a little unstable and they might break in half. So what you want to do, let it cool for about a minute, and then you can go ahead and remove it to a wire rack. And once it gets on that wire rack, you can let it cool as much as you want. You can eat these warm, you can eat them hot, you can eat them cold, it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead, plate these up, and I'm going to try one for you guys. All of my coconut Gizzadas are done, and they were piping hot, so I let them cool a little bit, and now I'm going to go ahead and try one. Before I try it though, I wanted to let you guys know you could serve it with a glass of milk, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, whatever your heart desires. This is such a delicious dessert, so you guys are going to want to give this a try. So I'm going to go ahead and sample it now for you guys. It comes very close to the ones that I've gotten from the Jamaican bakeries. The coconut is nice and moist and juicy on the inside, it's not dry. And the pastry is so nice and flaky. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this recipe today. Go ahead and give it a nice big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. Make sure to comment down below and tell me what you guys would like me to make next. I'll see you guys again with another one of my awesome recipes.